All right, it's Boston Card Hunter. I found somebody off the street I'm dragging in here. He was at the end of probably the most viral sports card negotiating deal I've ever seen. Probably the worst deal I've ever seen. Jade, welcome, man.
Hey Nick, thanks for having me on. That was quite the intro.
So for everybody that's been living in a cave, here's the clip.
Could I pull out a couple to like comp and check out?
Which ones?
So,
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to save you time.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to buy it for under comp, then no.
no. I just want to like agree on comp.
Okay.
And then
No, I'm not selling a comp.
no. I know.
Okay.
I just want to look at them, see
Yeah.
what value, and then
Yeah.
show you my cards and see if there's anything you would be open to
Okay.
trading towards, if that works for you.
Sure.
That work? Okay. Could I see the Jordan Metal Universe?
Yep.
These three Kobe's.
I don't want to start taking all of them out, to be fair.
Okay. So we'll just do one
I'm
at a
going to
time
turn
then?
away. Yeah, I'm not going to have like $4,000 worth of cards out.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
You know-
Okay, you said it was
450.
450.
I'm into
Okay.
it for 425.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we'd be a little off on that. Last sale was 350, but you're in it for more,
Yeah.
so that doesn't make sense. I get it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll be real honest. If
Yeah.
you start looking them up all like that, we're never going to make a deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Or is it because you think you're over comp,
No, because
or
I just don't care.
you don't care about
Not
comps?
with Kobe, Jordan, Otani, and Sandy Koufax.
Right.
But, you know, Shohei changes every
So
second.
what are these
and
based
that never
on?
shows what people sell them for at card shows.
That's weird.
$350 for this.
Okay. I think we might be off. I don't want to
Yeah.
waste
you
your
want
time
me
at all.
to, You want me to start comping out the stuff you got and go
No,
lower?
no.
Or, no.
All right, so that was pretty contentious. Very interesting negotiating thing. So, Jade, my first question is, when in this negotiation did you realize things were going sideways?
I mean, in a weird way, when it was happening, it didn't really feel like anything was going sideways. It just felt like I was talking to someone that was maybe a little more set in their ways with, you know what I mean? Like a little more traditional, a little more old school, a little more used to doing things a certain way. So it didn't feel sideways. For me, it just felt like we were just having a conversation. We weren't really agreeing on anything.
Hmm.
And that's just what I picked up from it. Yeah, it didn't really feel like any negative tension, strangely
And
enough.
did you agree to film before the interview? Like, did you
Yeah,
say,
yeah, of
"Hey, I'm going to
course.
film this interaction," and they were cool with it?
Yeah, I asked him. I mean, at the or at the show that I was at, it was pretty limited sports vendors, so
Yeah.
the little content I'm able to make is kind of what I have to go with. So of course, yeah, before every interaction, I'll go up and greet them at first. How you doing? How's the show going for you? I
What was
really
the
like
show?
these cards. I believe that one was it was at a show in San Diego. I think it was the regional.
Okay.
Correct. I
And
might be wrong on the title of it, so I'm sorry. Or LA
oh
Card
yeah, it's
Expo, I
okay.
might be wrong, but it
Was it
was in
mostly
San Diego.
TCG or sports? That's what you're saying? Yeah. I'm
Almost
finding
every
that
show
now.
I go to.
Yeah. I'm hearing that. If you guys are watching from California, let me know in the comments if you're seeing like a TCG takeover of sports card shows. I have seen it firsthand, and it's pretty wild. Like some shows have gone to like 80, 90%. So fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So what do you think that you could have done differently?
I think hindsight's always 2020, but I think keywords was probably the thing I could have done differently. I think instead of leading with the word comp, which to me is almost in the same breadth as value, but when people hear comp, I think they automatically start to hear that they're going to get 70%, 80%, 90% offered to them. So I think instead of leading with, I just want to agree on comp, I think I should have said, I just want to agree together on what current market value is.
Right. Or, hey, can we come to an agreement on how much you think this card's worth? Or you could have made comps the bad guy and be like, hey,
Yeah, I
you
hate that
hate
we have to
comps?
do
Do
this.
you hate comps? I hate comps too.
Yeah.
Let's throw comps out the window, man. Let's
Yeah.
just talk about these cards. I think I did a video. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description, like breaking this down with a negotiation book. But yeah, I think it was almost like you said like a racial slur. It was like you just
Trigger
said
word,
like
something affected him.
the
Yeah.
worst possible word.
The Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh man. So I think I agree with you. I think you basically lost him there. But I guess
Yeah.
my question to you is, if that's the case, like how do you personally decide what a card is worth? Do you go on comps, gut feeling, rarity, talking to people? Like what do you think?
I mean, I feel like I deal in pretty common mid-level, mid to like slightly high value cards. I mean, not definitely not what I see in a lot of YouTube videos that I watch where the margins that they have on these like 10, 12, $20,000 cards are much higher. So for me, when I am dealing with like the mid to low level value cards, I feel like it's important to establish what current market value is because they're not super rare cards that aren't being sold all the
Mhm.
time. So if you were to pull up, I mean, in that instance, we were looking at a Jordan Metal Universe, there had been 5 to 10 sales in the last 2 months. So I think it could have at least put us in a ballpark of what the
Pretty good
current, it's just
range.
like a
Yeah.
stock, like what's the current market value for that specific card we were looking at. So I do use Card Ladder, I use Market Movers,
Hmm.
I do as much research as I can, and whenever I do find a sample size of at least like 3 to 5 because I'll never say the last sale was the I mean in the video I did, but that's not what I would have only used towards
Yeah.
creating value, at least averaging the last 3 to 5 so that there's a ballpark.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, for the audience, comps, they kind of suck. Like Card Ladder, Market Movers, and eBay Sold is the best we've got. And the best we've got is about 60 to 70% accurate because we're not capturing these transactions at car shows and we're not capturing the stuff on live selling. And I mean, if you think about the national, how many transactions go down, like they're not even being recorded. And I mean, the real problem with sports cards is because nobody wants to pay taxes. So all these cash deals get done and they're like, nah, no deal ever happened here. It's
Yeah.
like Obi-Wan shows up. He's like, there's nothing to
Yeah.
see here. No sports card deal has ever gotten done, IRS. Like it's
Yeah.
wild, man. So everybody pay your taxes. So I agree. It's kind of tough. Now, what do you feel like the disagreement was about money here or respect?
I think it was about not so much money. I don't think the money aspect had to do with it. I think it was the argument it was almost like offense versus defense, kind of. Like my offense was to come in and try to get a deal done, try to work on value, try to agree on maybe a compromise where he might have to come down. And he was on the defense of your data that you're searching doesn't matter to me because this is my price, this is what I'm in for it for. So it was almost like offense versus defense where we didn't really sync in the game.
I, from observing this, thought it was more like oil and water.
Well,
Not an offense and
yeah.
defense. It was like this just is never. You could stir this as hard as you want. It's never gonna mix.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was no chance from
And
the
I
beginning.
imagine this guy probably brings a lot of cards home. I know people like this, in the New England area, and I mean it's cool. Like stand your ground. He's allowed to decide what he
Yeah,
wants to bend for, and you're allowed to
totally.
decide what you want to pay, and you're both allowed to abandon the deal.
Yeah.
So piggybacking off of that, like, do you think? So you've been in the hobby. We're going to talk about. He's been new to the hobby, everybody, like this year, and I know a lot of you guys watching this are new quite often. So he'll give you some perspective in a minute. But as somebody new to the hobby, do you think people get too emotional about prices and deals, or do you find that not to be the case?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you can collect and hold on to your cards forever, but you're still putting money into those cards. And people are always going to want to defend what they're in it for. They want to defend what they think the value of the card is. It's very something you can be very protective about because I think it's not play money. And for
Yeah.
kids and for adults and everyone in between, it's your money's coming and going, and you just want to make sure you're getting the most for your
Yeah.
money ultimately.
This ain't play money, man. You got
No.
you got
Yeah.
16-year-old repack runners. You probably don't even know what that is. They got the
Oh, I know.
they got the hoodie. They got the hoodie going. They got the tracksuit on, and they're fast. They come to the show early. They got lots of cash. Zion cases.
Louis Vuitton bags,
Yeah, man.
kids, like, oh
Louis
yeah.
belts, Louis vests, Louis hats.
Yeah.
And they're man, some of them are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, to be
Oh
honest.
yeah.
It's quite an interesting business. So I agree. I mean, for me, I deal in vintage, and it's a little bit different because vintage is like a bond where modern is like a stock. And so vintage just it's like what's your coupon rate and how many years is the bond? There's
Right.
only a couple variables. And it's like, all right, I deal in vintage autograph stuff. Is the guy dead? How rare is this? And then it's within a band, right? I can't be like, oh, I think it's 3X or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're not really hemming and hawing too much unless you get into the cults, like the 86 Fleer cult and the 84 Star cult, and they start like, going
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
about the
yeah.
prices.
Defending it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so you're new. You told me you joined like within the last year. Is this what you thought the hobby was going to be like?
No, not at all. I mean, I was just collecting Pokemon when I was a kid, and then I stopped, but I always kept collecting. I collect vinyl, I collect old magazines, stuff like that. So it's a little bit of like it never went away all the way. And then I grew up and wanted to like find a new hobby as a 35-year-old with adult money, you know? So I
Yeah.
love sports and it kind of just happened. But I mean, all the YouTube videos I watch, I think it kind of created this like grandiose image of like what card collecting is and the possible margins and the cards you can get into. So I think there was a little more excitement and it was very opportunistic in the beginning.
Hmm.
And I quickly learned that the margins really aren't there like they make it seem, especially when you're dealing with cards that are, I mean, if you're in it for 425 and you're trying to make 450, margins really aren't that high,
Yeah.
you know?
So some new advice to a noob on that one. So yeah, there's no margin on that. You know what there is margin on? You go clean out the dollar bins and sell them on Whatnot for $10,
Right.
and you'll get
Yeah.
50% margin on those all day long and make them pay shipping on Whatnot. And
Yeah.
people, I don't have time to deal with that, but
I tried
because
that.
yeah, under $10, you can have decent margins. But I want to say, I got some respect for some stuff behind you there. I was a skater in the 90s, and
No kidding.
this Thrasher stuff is pretty awesome. This is bringing me back. And then we got Supreme right there, which is
Yeah, the board.
did they make trucks? Supreme trucks? I can't remember
They
the
might have, not as like a branded company,
yeah,
but
yeah,
just
it's
like for
crazy.
show. And
So
then
and
these
then
Thrashers are from 1990, from January to December, the year I was born. So I got all of them. And
that's wild, man. I was reading those, and then vinyl. I love vinyl. I think a lot of sports card collectors, we all like music,
yeah,
and I've started collecting music stuff. Like I've got a signed Nirvana card. I've got like a Janis Joplin
nice.
photo that's signed, and I got a vinyl player. It's off screen, but it's like right there.
Yeah,
So
mine's right
I,
here.
I think that's pretty cool to like, because we can get obsessed about cards, and it's cool to kind of realize like there's other stuff out there, that like
Yeah,
people are into, and it just take a break from cards for like a week, and like
it's
I
so
love
hard.
I love
It's hard
vinyl
to.
because I can go to the used bookstore in town, and I know when they restock the thing with vinyl, and I could get like a Johnny Cash album, like an original for like a buck.
Yeah,
And it still
yeah.
plays and it crackles, and I don't know. I think that's pretty cool because I'm old. But all right, so what's one mistake that you've made that you wouldn't make again?
I think it's like a case by case basis because with him, the mistake was saying comp.
Mm,
With someone else, it might be I don't know. It depends. Like, I don't know if I necessarily saw something other. I mean, in this specific case, I could say the mistake was leading with the word comp, maybe not using the right verbiage after he had initially told me if you're gonna look at comps, if you're gonna try to buy under comps, it's not gonna happen. And I didn't really adjust there. I kind of just kept trying to understand like talk like beating a dead horse, like it wasn't really going to go anywhere, so I could have done something different to change it, but things are happening so fast at shows and there's so many people walking around and I kind of wanted to get out of the way of like standing in front of his booth, which is why I asked to see
yeah.
like a couple of cards together. Let me just put something together for you and go from there. But yeah, there's always something you could be doing
This
different.
guy, I mean, if I was approaching this table and I was interested in his cards, this guy needs to feel loved and liked and whatever. And I would probably say like, "Hey man, wow. You've got pressure. You got PMGs here. I love that. I love that stuff, man. I stopped collecting, of course, in '96, and then everything got valuable after that.
Yeah,
And like, what's your favorite set from the '90s? Oh, yeah, he might be a little grumpy at first, and I'd be like, all right, well, what's your favorite player? Which PMG green is better, the Kobe or the MJ? And then you can
right.
really get into like, all right, is he a Kobe guy or an MJ guy or whatever? And be like, wow, that one right there is really cool. We have not mentioned comps yet, you know.
Yeah.
Um, how long have you held on to that card? Are you like holding that? Are you looking to, make money on that? Are you willing to sell it? You can talk about these things, trip him up a little bit, get some information. Maybe you could find out how much he's into it for, maybe you can't. But at the very least, you could find out what he likes and hates. And for somebody like that, as a bit of a hoarder,
Right, might need that.
it's important to heat map the thing. So a heat map is like, all right, which ones are never leaving him, like he's gonna die with these cards, and which ones are yellow, like hey, he might part with them, and which ones is he not, gonna want to
Yeah.
get rid of. You can figure that out with probably a 30-second conversation, and then you just target the cards that you know he wants to get rid of and he doesn't like, and then it's just a monetary thing. You figure it out. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's that graduate work. That's
oh
great. No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
hear you.
Getting to Yes. Everybody should read Getting to Yes. It's a great book. And then the FBI negotiate Chris Voss. That's another good one. How yes isn't always the right answer, especially in a hostage negotiation.
Yeah.
But I encourage everybody. You could probably get those free at your library, and it's a really good read. Anybody trading sports cars or dealing with this, Getting to Yes is like required readings from the '80s. It was a joint project with Harvard, and it's just got great things like listen, listen more, make somebody else the enemy, like comps, stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
But like, all of that, you can have a nice plan and then, you get punched in the face, you get a card you really like, it might not work.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I mean, you could see in my other videos, the conversations happen pretty naturally, and I make a lot of great connections, and that's why I wanted to start filming because those kind of conversations started to happen before the deals would even happen. In
Yeah.
this situation, it was a little different. The conversation wasn't able to, we weren't able to create that with each other before the camera went on, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a bummer, man.
contextually, like.
Have you been in touch with him since this went viral?
No, I want to. I just want to connect and see. I've spoken with a few dealers that might have been at shows with him. No one's
All right,
told
what
me
I
they're
would recommend you
connected.
do is reach out to the show promoter. You have to remember what show it was first.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I'll
then
find that out.
once you do that, email them and be like,
Step
hey,
one.
you've probably seen this. I would
Yeah,
love to connect with this guy. If he's willing to, here's my information because I would love to see you two actually do a deal. Um, like we close this down with like a positive arc where you're just
yeah,
like, it went south, it went viral, but now you've come together and you've done a deal on cards. I think that would be so
yeah. Or
sick.
just a photo of me and him like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
next
With
to each
want
other.
cash in one hand and a card in the other, or
Yeah,
two cards trading hands,
yeah.
something like
Two
that.
cars crossing. My biggest thing is for me, I didn't feel like there was bad blood,
Yeah,
and I would hate for this to affect his business. That's my biggest take is that's not at all what I wanted. I do want people, if they do see him at shows, to try to make a deal. Maybe someone can have a connection with him that I wasn't able to. So my mixed bag of emotions was largely because I don't want to take food out of someone's mouth, you know?
yeah. This guy got a lot of hate, man. That's not fair. Like,
Yeah,
you can't be judged on how you behaved in 30 seconds about
yeah, I
cards. I mean, give
agree.
me a break. Like, this isn't like, brain surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
You
And he
may
didn't
not like,
insult me. He was
yeah, like
direct, he was firm, he was transparent.
he wasn't
I
like
get
you
it.
young punk. He was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I
Like,
get it.
he is who he is, and you don't have to deal with him or you can't deal with him.
Yeah,
There shouldn't be hate for that. Like we all have different styles, you know what I mean? And he just has a particular style that
right.
didn't jive with your style. Um, all right, this is the final question. This is the
All
big
right.
one. Um, I'm actually going to pose the question to the audience before I ask you. Um, you know, who do you think lost this negotiation? Now, lost, like if a team does a trade in basketball, sometimes there's a winner and a loser. Here, no deal actually got done. But I am going to say, who lost long term from this situation being viral, or who do you think just, or do you think the deal was impossible from the start and the deal was never going to happen?
I do think the deal was impossible from the start. I think there were two completely different approaches, and like you said in your other video, two completely different types of collectors.
Yeah.
I do generally like to value my cards, find market, come to a compromise, give and take on both sides. I do think he is a collector that's a little more traditional
Hmm.
or old school or whatever word you want to plug in there. So lost, it didn't feel like there was anything that happened for anyone to lose. I think maybe the demeanor that he came in might have pulled that more to his side as far
Yeah.
as not being beneficial for him.
I
Um,
think, yeah. I mean, my thoughts on this, the loser, it's like all of us. Comps is the loser of this negotiation because it kind of just shows um, how invalid and ineffective comps are for sports cards. But
yeah,
if I had to pick a winner between the two, I'm going to say that you behaved much more maturely and you're younger than him.
thank you.
I think that. You, yes, you might have been like, all right, you're a sleazy guy. You're trying to make money right off the get from like bringing up comps, but that's not really what was happening. And again, we might not have saw the intro, we might not have saw the end, but to me, it felt like I don't know, 70%. You were 70% in the right, and he was like 30% in the right to me.
I'll
I don't know.
take that.
That's how I feel about it.
I'll take that. I think ultimately the internet won. I
Yeah.
think the conversation was like people took it and ran, and it ended up being way bigger and a much bigger conversation about comps and dealers and repackers and flippers, stuff that had nothing to do with what was
It's
happening in
really
the video.
good. It's a good conversation to have. We should watch. So kudos to you for filming this because I feel like, Talon, he's a friend of mine. He
Yeah,
does
yeah. I
he
watched Talon
does
stuff.
content like this where he's got
Yeah,
like a dash cam type of thing. And
yeah,
um it's cool to see the good side of things, like kids making deals and trade ups and
right,
stuff like that. But I want to see bad deals. I want to see deals fall through
right.
because we
Because
can
that's what it is.
we have learned from this. We've all learned from this, and I feel like we could learn, more if we see more bad deals. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to card shows and I'll bring a camera and I'll be like, "Hey man, you want to film a bad deal?"
Antagonist.
We'll see. I'll try to keep it natural or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm coming for you guys. If you got card shows in New England or Boston, I'm gonna do some bad deals with you. Let me know.
Keep an eye out.
Any other thoughts on this as we wrap up? Like how you felt about the whole thing, or does this affect the future of how you collect or anything like that?
Not how I collect, maybe how I communicate again, just to try to anticipate where it can possibly go.
Mm,
Generally, I have great connections with people when I do my deals. Generally, dealers, everyone's pretty friendly, everyone kind of knows the game. Unfortunately, we on both sides, even when I look up these bigger YouTubers, Talon, King of the Cards, Sports Card Investor, Card Collects, coming up like with an agreed value together is standard. It's common practice. Hey, you have it listed at 10,000. Where are you getting that from? Show me what you see. I'll show you what I see. We agree, and then let's try to make a deal. So I think just trying to approach finding common ground and coming to an understanding is probably the most I could take from it. And to
yeah.
keep filming and keep going.
Yeah, I dig it. And I will, so I'll close. I've got his Instagram handle underneath. If any of you guys want to do a deal with him, I don't know if any of you do, but if you want to talk to him about this deal or whatever, or maybe you're in the Southern California area, you want to meet up or, do a trade or something, hit him up. And again, I'm going to close with this. Everybody watching this, if you are going to buy and sell sports cards, even if you're not, if you're going to negotiate anything in your life with your spouse, your kids, or whatever, Getting to Yes is a fantastic book. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. I'm not terribly good at it, but I'll put a link to the old video and I'll put a link to that book, Getting to Yes. And hopefully this helps everybody. Dude, Jade, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Nick. Thank you so much for having me on. Congrats on the channel and keep
Thank
doing
you.
the Lord's work.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. We'll chat soon.